What is going on, YouTubers? This is the In Between podcast. I'm joined by my co-hosts Alex Clark and Anthony Clark Jr. We are going to be discussing all things Texans football. First topic of the day, you guys' team assessment of the Texans so far. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I think the Texans are not that good, to be honest. If we win, it's a blessing. If we lose, it's expected. Because, I mean, we've had plenty of opportunities to win all these close games, and we just keep winning in like a fashion that's not sustainable. Every time you win close games, I feel like, or every time you make your games come down to the wire, I feel like that's never a recipe for success because you see the good teams, they win convincingly. And I know people say, an ugly win is still a win. It's true, but you see the Cowboys do that every year. They get one of the easiest schedules. They beat up on trash teams. They barely win all these games. You get in the playoffs, and then you get a team that can win convincingly, and they beat these teams convincingly. And we've seen it from the Texans for the last 2 years as well. We barely squeak by in the regular season, and then you get to the playoffs, you beat the team in the wild card round, and you get handled in the division round. So I feel like even though I'm rooting for us to go to the playoffs, even if we did, we would still get bounced in the divisional round. But I don't know. At this point in time, it seems like if we actually did make it to the playoffs because we have such a tough schedule from here to the end, then we would be battle tested. But as of right now, I'm not seeing it. I feel like we're gonna lose these next few games in a close fashion, just like we lost the games in the beginning of the season in a close fashion.
Alex, your thoughts?
I look at it from a very positive standpoint. I mean, if you look at the last two games, we're 2-0 with Davis Mills. I mean, nobody really expected Davis Mills to come in and, win those games the way that he did. So, I mean, I, I do believe a win is a win. It doesn't matter how it happens, get it done. A win is a win. 1-0 is
Barely
1-0
beating the one
every
and
week.
nine Titans is
Hey,
very positive. Huh?
but look at the stat sheet. Does it say we barely won or does it say we won?
It says we barely
We
won.
won.
It definitely
And
says we barely won.
as far as the playoffs and things of that sort, I mean, when you look at the first round, you get past the first round, and when you lose in that second round, I mean, you're losing to Baltimore Ravens, you're losing to Kansas City Chiefs, like you're losing to teams who are going to the championship round and the Super Bowl every year. So, I mean, if looking back at it, there is a level of inexperience with the Texans. I mean, you come in with a rookie quarterback, CJ Stroud, rookie D'Amico Ryans. So, I mean, you're losing to Patrick Mahomes, who's already been to the Super Bowl 2 times at that point, going to his third, going to his fourth. So, not to say that it's expected, but it's one of those things that, I mean, when you really look at it from a broad, perspective, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, obviously over time you would want to build and get to that point where you can become a, good enough team to beat those guys. But for what it is, right now, I'm not gonna say I'm not mad because I want to win. I want them to be successful. I want them to win. But with everything that you have, with the cards that you've been dealt, you're doing as good as you possibly can.
What cards have we been dealt?
I mean, you have a quarterback who's only been in the league 3 years. Head coach is the same. Rookie offensive coordinator. You have an O line that's struggling. You have a lot of things that aren't really going in your favor, but you're still making it work with those.
These are the
Yeah.
things that you have to have in order to be good, though.
So
It's not
here's
card
the
against our favors. Our general manager did not put together a team that was sufficient enough to beat good teams.
yes and no. So the biggest thing is the Texans have the overall best defense according to points scored per game.
This is true.
They're the first team, and I'll get the reference from this, but I heard they are the first team in NFL history to have the number one scoring defense, but still be at a 500 record or worse. So you having the number one defense, I think, holds weight. I think that gives you a puncher's chance in every single game. They're super opportunistic. They can force turnovers. They can make stops when necessary. They have players at every single level that are elite. Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter on the defensive line. You have Aziz Al-Shaair in the linebacking core, who's an elite linebacker. Jalen Petrie, uh, Stingley Jr. on the corner in the secondary. So you have elite playmakers on every single phase of the game. That's going to be super important when you play elite offenses. Moving forward, I would give them a puncher's chance in every single game. The biggest question is going to be how well does the O-line do against the opposing team's defensive line? That's usually what makes or breaks it from what I've seen. Whenever you get a team that is able to get to the quarterback, whether it's Davis Mills or CJ Stroud, the offense tends to stall out. They don't score as many points. The defense stays on the field longer just because the offense can't sustain drives. When you face teams, and a good example is when the Texans faced the 49ers, who just couldn't get any sort of pass rush, CJ Stroud looked like Patrick Mahomes. He was comfortable throwing nice passes everywhere, moving the ball down the field at will, and sustaining long drives. So, it comes down. I think it comes down to the trenches, and specifically the offensive line. If let's say the draft was tomorrow, I would absolutely focus probably the first couple picks on premium offensive lineman assets. Yeah, that's where I would go. Anybody have anything else they want to add to that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Something to add to that because whenever we're talking about, we do have one of the best defenses in the NFL, but the way that you win a football game is by scoring more points than the opponent, which is why in football, at least, people say defense wins championships because you can score on defense. Our defense is a really good defense when it comes to turnovers, but I'm not sure exactly where we rank when it comes to scoring defense. But it doesn't seem that we score too many defensive touchdowns, although we do get a lot of turnovers. But what happens whenever we turn the ball over? It goes right back to the offense. And what do? Give it right back to the opponent's offense. And so that's why we end up losing these close games all the time, because our offense can't stay on the field for that long. And even if we do, then, we'll get stopped at the goal line 4 times, or we'll get stopped 4th and 1, and can't get it 2 yards, And these things are important to win these close games, because that's what these games in the playoffs and these real games and beating these good teams comes down to.
Sure.
They say football's a game of inches, and we can't even get an inch.
Well, to answer your question on the points, the points forced, they're number 1 right now at 16.3. That's the league best.
Yeah.
They're allowing 16.3 points per game.
Yeah.
That's winnable, which means your offense only has to score 17 points per game. Like I said, that's a puncher's chance against any team.
The highest that we've allowed was against Seattle, 27.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought up that game because I did watch that game, and it was painful to watch. I would say it was positive and painful at the same time. The positive was that they forced Seattle into 4 or 5 turnovers in that game, picks, fumbles. The negative was that every time they were inside the red zone, or they had to go for it on 4th down, they couldn't convert. They tried at least 3 or 4 times, and they were 0 for 4. Couldn't score any points. So, like I said, the defense is super opportunistic. Is the offense going to show up? That's kind of the $1 million question each Sunday. If the offense shows up, I'd put them against anybody. And that's what's interesting. There's no real powerhouse in the NFL this season. It's one of those few years where it's really balanced. You'd figure like the teams like the Chiefs,
that we can't figure out how to score, because we have the best defense in the NFL and yet can't score to save our lives. But funny enough, we're actually 15th in offense.
Yeah.
I thought
so
we
middle
were
of the pack.
more than that.
Yeah, middle of the pack. It's one of those. It's any given Sunday of where they decide to show up or not.
It's just one of those things. It kind of, it almost aggravates you, because it's like your team is, like looking at the first game of the season, we lost 9-14. It's like you only gave up 2 touchdowns, but you couldn't score 2 touchdowns.
But it was a fumble, and so that's why we lost.
Yeah. Well, I can go through. I have all the scores. I'm going to go through them real quick.
Yes.
Week 1 against the Rams. The Rams, I think, are arguably the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
They lost 14-9. Week 2, you lose 20-19 against the Bucks. The Bucks are, I would say, a top 10 team. I wouldn't say they're a Super Bowl favorite, but they're definitely a playoff contender. The Jaguars, you lose 17-10. The Titans, you beat 26-0. The Ravens, you beat 44-10. Granted, that was without Lamar Jackson.
Hey. Next man
Hey,
up. It's the
keep
NFL.
it. I mean, the quarterback position.
Hey, 2-0 Davis Mills.
I'll give you that. But they were also missing Roquan Smith and
Marlon
a few other.
Humphreys.
Yeah, Marlon Humphrey, Roquan
Trust me,
Swift, all those players.
I heard. I was talking trash to all the Ravens fans, and I heard every named player that didn't play. Trust me.
Yep. You lose to Seattle 27-19. You beat the Niners 26-15. You lose to the Broncos 18-15. The Broncos, I believe, are the AFC favorites right now. You beat the Jaguars 36-29, and then you squeak out a win 16-13. That was in Tennessee. Yeah.
In Tennessee.
So you never know what team you're going to get. They're not blowing anybody out. They're losing super close, and it's just you don't know what you're going to get on Sunday. It's a roller coaster ride.
It sounds like it's all been one score games.
It has been a whole bunch.
Yeah, for the most part, all the losses have been one score. The worst loss was Seattle by 8 points.
Yeah, and we had so many opportunities to score in the fourth quarter. We had like 4 chances to score and couldn't score.
You were in that game the whole game. It was a matter of like
in the first quarter, it didn't seem like we were going to be in the game, and then the defense kept it close. They gave up, I believe, as much as they gave in the first half, and then they held them all the way until the end. And we couldn't score not one touchdown. That's the game whenever we couldn't get those 2 yards on 4th down because we kept running it into the opponents for no reason, and that's the thing that frustrates me so much is like, because obviously from the couch we can all see like, okay, the run game ain't working. We need to go ahead and throw it or set something up. But like we have like no sort of trickery, no type of flavor on our offense. It's just let's just keep trying this thing that doesn't work, And like I said, I don't like to be one of those couch coordinators because it's easy to sit up there and be like, oh yeah, bro, we should just do this, we should just do that when you're not there at practice. But at the same time, like you get paid millions of dollars as a professional to figure out these things. You
Sure.
Literally, it's your job. That's what you do. That's what you wake up and you do all day, every day is make plays and run an offense, and you need to figure out ways to figure it out, because that's what you get paid for. And that's the thing that's going to win games.
Yeah. I mean, your opposition's also paid equal or more to figure out, your weaknesses and tendencies to go after you to stop your game plan. That's why it's the NFL. These are the professional athletes on both sides of the ball. They all get paid. So that kind of leads me into the next topic of who's to blame, I guess, for the offensive struggles.
Oh, I'll go on this one.
Okay.
My number one person who I think is to blame is Nick Caserio, because what is the worst part of the Texans offense? It is easily our offensive line. And we knew last year that we had one of the worst offensive lines. And what do? We fired the O-line coach and we hired an O-line coach internally. We traded away our best offensive lineman and we did not replace him at all. So at this point, what did you expect to happen? You thought that these mediocre offensive linemen were going to turn into gems overnight? Because the Texans offense, I always tell people, there's no reason why we should be good, because outside of Nico Collins, we don't have any real receiving threats. Now, I know we have the 2 rookies that are promising that everyone says, and we have Christian Kirk, if I'm not mistaken, and
Xavier Hutchinson.
Those guys aren't all-stars on any other team. The only person we have is Nico Collins. Joe Mixon is hurt, and so we have Nick Chubb, who is a backup at best, and we have Woody Marks, who is doing remarkable, but he is a rookie. So all we have is C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins on our offense. So why would we be doing any better than we are? There's no reason. And Nick Caserio is a person who's supposed to see this and say, okay, we need more talent. Because, I mean, yeah, we got rid of Diggs, but he did tear his ACL, but you got to replace him with somebody just as talented. But we don't have any sort of talent on our offense. We have a makeshift offense at best. And you see it's starting to pay because our quarterback, what happened? He got his head dinged in by the Broncos defensive line because we didn't have nobody to stop him. So I think it's Nick Caserio 100%, because you could blame Nick Caley all day, but without any talent, what are you going to do? You can't do anything. You're not going to beat Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry or Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Like all these other teams, they have like multiple stars. We have Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud. That is all.
It's fair enough. I agree. You can have. I think CJ Stroud's easily a top 10 quarterback in the league. I know the list is fluid, But this year, and given his track record, I would put him as top 10. So it's difficult
Yeah.
to be a top producing offense without, stars. All the elite teams have go-to guys.
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes has Xavier Worthy. He's got Travis Kelce.
Mhm.
Rasheed
He
Rice.
has, Rasheed Rice. I wouldn't put, outside of Travis Kelce, I wouldn't put any of those receivers in the top 10 by any means, but they're definitely, they're reliable and they're above, I would say they're definitely above average to,
Mhm.
Just outside of excellent, NFL talent.
Well, I'll
But they
say
also have
this.
a above average offensive line and
Yep.
one of the best offensive minded head coaches in the league. So you can afford to not have superstars. That's what people say. Same thing about Tom Brady. Whenever Tom Brady, they were like, "Oh, he didn't really have that many good receivers," but he also had Josh McDaniels calling some of the best plays we've ever seen. He had Dante Scarnecchia, which was one of the best O-line coaches and one of the best O-lines. He had all these things so that you cannot have the best so-and-so. We don't have the best receivers or the best O-line or the best running back, or we don't have any or the best coordinator. We have bottom 10 in the league, everything offensively, and expect to have an offense that is, doing something. Being 15th is honestly a miracle with what little we have. So I think that's a testament to how good CJ Stroud is, to be honest.
Well,
Yeah.
one thing I personally think is that it also, I'm not saying, it's not, I understand you're saying, the blame is on Caserio, but it also doesn't help when you have all these things going bad to bring in a rookie offensive coordinator. It really just, it doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
But at the same time, as you were saying, with all these, other quarterbacks having these stars, well, when you have a guy like Nico Collins, right?
Yeah.
And for a fact Nico is going to be double teamed every game. Well, that's when you have to really open up your playbook. And it's one of those things where it's like, well, if you know Nico is going to be guarded, you have to start utilizing Dalton Schultz. You have to start utilizing Jaden Higgins. You have to start utilizing Christian Kirk. And then once those guys become, a threat to the defense, well, now it's like, well, snap, we're double teaming Nico. They're obviously not going to throw it to Nico. They're throwing it to Christian Kirk all game. Well, now you finally open up Nico Collins to get those one-on-ones to be able to do what you really want. Because if you really look at it, when you look back at, like the earlier Texans days when you had guys like the DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller, well, Will Fuller being a speedster that could go down the field, now you're going to have, that cornerback and that safety are both going to be going on that guy because he's so fast. Well, now you open up DeAndre Hopkins up the middle. And it was the same thing that you had with Nico Collins and Tank Dell before Tank Dell got hurt. Tank Dell was a speedster guy, could run up the field. He's going to draw that safety with him. Now you have Nico Collins up the middle. So it's one of those things where you have to find one of those guys to be able to put in that offense and be like, hey, man, we need you to be this guy to help us open up our offense.
And whose job is to find the guys that we have to put in that offense?
Your rookie offensive coordinator.
Your rookie offensive coordinator does not sign people.
It'd be your GM. Your GM's the one who has to go out.
Well, I'm saying he has to, but he has to be the guy to, not
turn these guys into something that they're not.
But it's not to say to turn them into something that they're not. It's to utilize them.
Okay, so
we're all professionals. They're all professionals.
Offensive coordinator in the league. How would they use Christian Kirk?
I would use him as the stretch guy. I think he has the speed. You need to stretch him. You need to use him to stretch the field to then open up for Nico Collins.
And
you don't have Tank Dell.
You
find the next speedster. He's been hurt.
Who's the next speedster?
Jalen Noel.
We don't have that much depth. We really don't have that much talent.
You really do, though. We really do.
Noel has been stepping up. I know that for sure. And Higgins, everyone was high on him coming into the league, but
Xavier Hutchinson,
he hasn't done too much.
You have guys who are capable.
You got to find who the strengths are. You have to find who has the strengths, and you have to play to it. I feel like Nico Collins is a guy who works well in space.
Yeah.
Just like Kansas City force feeds Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Dude, they need to spam the Nico Collins button. Make them cover it up. Use it until it doesn't work anymore.
Davis Mills definitely has been doing that. If you look at like the last couple of games, he has definitely been hitting Nico Collins. Like Nico has gotten a lot more touches than he has in like the past couple recent games.
Yeah. They do need to do that
But then again, it's like I don't know if people are, just assuming because it's Davis Mills that I'd like, it's one of those things. It's like, why wasn't this clicking with CJ? Why is it clicking with Davis? What is the issue that's causing this to happen.
Yeah, I think it's because C.J. Stroud may be a little more like, I don't know. I feel like he thinks about it a lot more. Davis Mills is like, bro, I'm gonna just throw it to Nico. Bro, I'm gonna just throw it to Nico. I'm gonna just throw it to Nico. You know, like he's kind of like, it's like CJ likes to spread the ball around. He said that himself, but you know, Davis Mills is probably just more.
If it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, like he's not afraid to just throw it all at the same person. You know, and I think that I'm one of those people because you see the Texans do stuff a lot like that. I remember like that time whenever they let Will Fuller run that punt return and he ran it all the way back and they never put him back there again. And so the Texans seem kind of like an organization that's like, that worked, let's never do it again. And it seems like that with Nico Collins. It's like, oh, Nico just caught a ball. Like you saw what he caught before the half. Like he almost caught a freaking Hail Mary and scored, and then we just never throw it up like that again. Like we rarely throw it deep, you know, because I feel like the Texans get too scared. Like, oh, that didn't work, so let's stop doing it. But you saw like Patrick Mahomes at the beginning of the game with the Broncos yesterday. They threw the ball like 5 times in a row deep down the field, and I feel like
he's
you
trying to draw
shots.
flags. One thing I will say about Nico Collins is the man is 6'4". He weighs like 240. At some point, you got to put him in the back corner of the end zone, throw a fade route, and let him go up for it. I mean, it worked with Matt Schaub and Andre Johnson. You gotta you at some point you have to utilize him like he's an Andre Johnson type receiver.
Yeah,
you have
I
to.
believe it. I mean, I'm a big proponent in forcing the ball to your best player, just making somebody stop him.
Yeah. He's kind of
because you don't got a better solution. Like, what are you gonna do? Run it into a line, or run it into a wall on 4th and 2? Like, you might as well just give Nico a little fader over the corner and just, hey, let's see what he can do.
I feel like people are talking a little bit
on the sideline. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like people are talking a little bit, and one of the conversations I'm hearing is the offensive line blocks better for Davis Mills versus C.J. Stroud. Do you feel like there's any truth to this?
So I kind of looked, I was watching the games and I was like, man, he does kind of have a little more protection. But it's one of those things where I just feel like the offensive line has just been progressing slowly week by week by week. So it's just gotten to that point where they've just, you know, they're just starting to get good. I don't feel like there's anything personal between, you know, I don't think anybody would not purposely, you know, block for CJ Stroud. I just think that the offensive line is just starting to get better. They are starting to use a bigger package of 6 men up front versus, you know, the 5. So that always gives an extra, you know, guy for protection. So there's just a lot of things that they've been switching up or like, you know, implementing that's starting to work. Personally, how I feel.
Also, CJ Stroud hold the ball longer than Davis Mills does, because that extra 2 seconds make a big difference.
Yeah, I was going to say either that, or do you feel like C.J. Stroud he leaves the pocket more and throws more on the run?
I'd say one problem with CJ2 is not stepping up in the pocket enough. When you see that pocket start to collapse around you, you got to step up. Not necessarily you have to take off and scramble, but you do need to step up in that pocket. And I don't feel like he does that. I feel like he does a lot of rolling. And when you do all that rolling, it's not really helping him.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Well, next topic. Let's talk playoff chances. How the Texans stand versus the rest of the league.
Ooh. Who are the 3 teams in the hunt right now? Are the
Texans, Ravens, and the Chiefs all sitting at 5-5.
That's right. Ooh. So yeah, which is crazy because the Texans just leapfrogged the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So it was funny, yeah.
On the NFL playoff picture, it says that the Ravens have a 77% playoff probability and they're 10th. The Chiefs are 9th, and it says they have a 51% playoff probability. And it says the Texans, who are 8th, they have a 33% playoff probability, which is funny.
Yeah, you were a little muffled on that one.
Oh, sorry.
That's all good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now. So I hear you now.
Okay, so the Texans are 8th, the Chiefs are 9th, and the Ravens are 10th. But the playoff probability is backwards. So it says that the Ravens have a 77% playoff probability. The Chiefs have a 51%, be in the at
Yep.
3% playoff probability. So less of a to make the playoffs than teams that are below us, and I think that's for me. We'll really see after the Bills this weekend because we can.
Hey CJ, you're still coming in a little scratchy.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. I'm gonna remove you for a second and have you just rejoin. All right. So while he's going and rejoining, yeah. So right now, as it stands, starting from the 7th spot, you have the Jaguars are the 7th. They have the last playoff spot. Then the Texans, then the Chiefs, then the Ravens. But what ACJ was talking about is the probabilities are in reverse. The Ravens have the higher probability, then the Chiefs, then the Texans. And I 100% believe that's based on. I feel like a little
Schedule
bit.
strength.
Yeah, I think it's schedule strength, also past resume of, everyone, believes with the Chiefs make the playoffs and they have the best chance of making the Super Bowl.
Oh,
Same thing
yeah.
with the Ravens. And so they give the Texans, that same, they give them the least amount of, respect to make the playoffs. It's
Yeah.
interesting because let me oh, there he goes. Put him back in there. What I find interesting though is I was actually rooting for the Chargers to beat Jacksonville, just because it puts them further ahead in the AFC West. But it was actually better for the Jaguars to win as far as the Chiefs not making the playoffs. Now, it would have been better if the Chargers would have beat the Jaguars because that would have given
The
that would
Texans, yeah.
yep, that would have put them at 5-5, and then you would have essentially had a 4-way tie. Now the tiebreakers, because the Texans have the 8th spot, the tiebreaker goes. None of these teams are in division, so it's head to head, which none of them have played. Oh no, that's why the Texans have the tiebreaker over the Ravens because they
Over
have
the Ravens, yeah. They play the Ravens.
And then let's say, yeah. So they have the head to head. They have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs because of conference wins. So the Texans are 4-2 in the conference. The Chiefs are 2-4.
Yeah.
You
Chiefs
get
they've dropped a couple games. I mean, they lost to the Jaguars. That was a big game. That was a big shocker
Big
game.
game.
Dropping
It
to the
was.
Jaguars like that. Dropping to the Chiefs week 1. Everybody to the Chargers week 1. One of
Yeah,
those
'cause
that
they
was
lost.
like a big game too. Everybody
Mhm.
was just like, it was one of those things where everybody was kind of just real shocked. They were just like, man, I don't know if this is the same Chiefs. Like if you're looking at the Chiefs right now, sitting at 5-5, I don't think anybody was expecting this to happen.
I wasn't.
At this point. And so another thing too is, the Jaguars have been, I mean, they've been looking decent.
They've been up and down. They're another
Yeah.
team that's kind of like the Texans. You really don't know
What they're
who
gonna
you're
do.
going to get
Yeah.
because they come out and let's look. I forget who they've played in their records, but yeah, you lose to you blow the Texans game in which you were up 29-10, but then you turn around and you blow out the Chargers 35-6. What's going on, sir?
Them losing that game was the Jaguars losing that game to the Texans was very, very, what's the word I'm trying to say? Was very crucial for them because that honestly just changed the way things were going. Really, like looking at the schedule right now, they beat the Raiders by 1. They lost to the 49ers, lost to the Seahawks, lost to the Rams.
Which team are you looking at?
The Jaguars.
No, the Jaguars beat the Niners.
Oh wait. Oh yeah, they did beat the Niners. Okay, they beat the Panthers, lost to the Bengals, beat the Texans, beat the Niners, beat the Chiefs, lost to the Seahawks, lost to the Rams, beat the Raiders, lost to the Texans, beat the Chargers.
Right, and so they get smoked by the Rams 35-7, but then they go and smoke the Chargers. Like I said, there's no real. It's really an any given Sunday kind of season.
Yeah,
there's nobody who's like, oh, this perennial. And the Eagles are a perfect example of that. The Eagles are sitting at 8-2 now, but they've beaten their last few teams by less than 10 points.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even impressive. They beat the Packers 10-7. They just beat the Lions
9-16.
Yeah, or 16-9. And so, you figure a team that has all the talent that the Eagles have would be romping teams, by like 35-10 or 35 of this, but they're putting up
Well,
less than 20 points.
they're also having their offensive issues, everything going internally with AJ Brown and things of that sort. So that's not really helping them, I guess.
But you still
yeah,
have Saquon, you still have
Yeah.
Devontae Smith. It's not like they have a lack for weapons. So it's really,
Yeah.
you get into the playoffs. The goal is to get into the playoffs. You get into the playoffs, anything can happen. And that's definitely apparent for this year. But let's look specifically at the Texans. They're sitting at 5-5. Sorry, I'm pulling up the standings real quick. You're sitting at 5-5. There's 6 games left in the league? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 games. No, excuse me, 7 games left in the league. You got the Bills at home, at the Colts, at the Chiefs, Cardinals, Raiders, at the Chargers, and the Colts again. I know you talked about a little bit the other night. You said, "Hey, we beat the Bills and we beat the Colts, and we can take the division." Well, I mean, you feel like that's a real possibility? Let me ask you, I guess, rephrase it this way. Do you feel like there's enough that can happen in 7 weeks, bad to the Colts and good for the Texans for them to take the division? Or do you feel like a wild card is more realistic? You can go ahead, Alex. Unless ACJ, you want to go. I think he's... Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Fine, right?
Yeah, we hear you. Your screen's a little frozen, but that's okay.
I think that it's more realistic to take wild card because the Texans, in order to take the division, would pretty much have to win out. They'd have to go like 6 last 7 games, which I mean, like I said, we have a puncher's chance in pretty much every game. But do I see it happening? Not really. But the Colts also, I feel like, fall because they have very team.
Sorry, CJ, you're coming in really crackly. I'm going to remove you one more time. I'm going to let you, Alex, go ahead.
I think as far as division chances, I think Texans can still win the division. I mean, looking at the Colts, the Colts are doing what a lot of people didn't think would happen. Yes. I mean, Daniel Jones, I've been a very big Daniel Jones hater for a long time.
Yep.
So I'm not going to sit here and admit that, he's just the greatest thing that ever happened. Has he turned this Colts team around? Absolutely. But at the same time, I mean, this Colts team had a lot of positive things going. But as far as having a real quarterback, I mean, Anthony Richardson didn't do the best, in his career. Having, Joe Flacco as a backup. I mean, Joe Flacco's towards the, he's on a steady decline. He's not what he used to be. He's not Ravens Joe Flacco from, the 2010s. So Daniel Jones has stepped up, yes. But at the same time, I do believe that the Texans defense can and will easily contain Daniel Jones. And then it's just a matter of the offense finding our way. I mean, looking at the Colts' upcoming schedule, the Colts have to play the Chiefs, Texans, Jaguars, Seahawks, Niners, Jaguars, Texans. So, it's one of those schedules are looking pretty similar. Honestly, it's a week by week. We have to win every week and they have to lose every week as far as, for us to be a division. It's possible. I truly believe that it's very possible. It is very possible. I think the 2 games that are going to matter the most is Texans versus Colts. Those are going to have to be the 2 games where, we have to come out and show everything. I mean, you may lose 1 or 2 games, but I honestly think that going undefeated in the division for the rest of the division is what is really necessary, because sitting right now, the standings, I believe the Colts are 2-0 in the division. Texans are 2-1. So, I mean, it's still anybody, it's anybody's division. And then how they like to do, NFL puts division versus division the last couple games of the season. So it's going to be one of those, it's going to be like CJ Stroud's rookie year where the last game came down to whoever wins is going, whoever loses is out. It's going to be one of those same situations.
Well, what's interesting for the Texans, and this really works out in their favor, the Colts have to play the Texans twice and they have to play the Jaguars twice. So let's say the Texans drop 1 game. Well, now you have the Colts playing the Jaguars. Whoever wins that game is beneficial to the Texans. So
Oh, yeah.
if the Jaguars win, awesome. You know, the Jaguars win both games. That brings down the Colts, and then the Texans can retake the division. The problem is you need the Jaguars to lose a few games outside of that too.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, oh, the Texans and the Colts. You have the Texans, Jaguars, then the Colts. And they they got the Chiefs next week. That's going to be a litmus test. Are the Colts legit, or have they had a soft first half of the schedule?
Yeah.
You know,
Because
and then-
looking at their wins, I mean, most of their games they blew out the Dolphins, but I mean it's the Dolphins. Blew out the Raiders, but it's the Raiders. You know, you beat the Broncos by 1.
Hmm.
You lose to the Colts by 7. You lose to the Cardinals by 4. You lose to the Chargers by 6. Lose to the Steelers by 7. You blow out the Titans again, and then you lose or you beat the Falcons in overtime. Arguably, I think that game could have went either way.
yeah.
So it's just a matter of it's. I'm not gonna say they keep catching lightning in a bottle, but it's one of those things where a lot of things are just going their way.
Sure,
if
the
we're
football
being honest.
bounce. That saying, it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah,
There's another team in the league that's like that. I think the Niners are like that. They've beaten some teams by like a point, or they've just come back, and it's like, should they have won that game? I mean, it could have gone either way. They happened to win it. So every team, there's always at least one team that has to go through a gauntlet part of their schedule. And this is what the Texans' next 3 games, and I think this is going to be a good litmus test. Is the Texans' defense legit? And if so, can the defense hold, and can the offense do enough to win these games to get them in a good position? And if they do make the playoffs, are they worthy? And the next 3 games are going to decide that. Here's the next 3 games. You have the Bills at home, at the Colts, at the Chiefs. I can't think of a tougher 3-game stretch for almost any team than that. You have the leader in the division. You have the Bills, who are perennial powerhouse, and you have the Chiefs, who are 3-time Super Bowl. They're the best team in the league over the last 5 years. I think the goal is to shoot for 2-1. You go 2-1, you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. You go 1-2, but you keep some of those games close. Okay, you go 0-3. I don't, I think it's hard to make the playoffs, and you're just not ready to face these teams.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot more to it too. I mean, if you're looking at it, you have a 4-day turnaround. You're playing Thursday night versus the Bills.
I'll be right back.
No CJ Stroud, so that's also another thing that's playing big into it. Then you look at the Colts. You got the Colts in Indy, and then you have the Chiefs prime time. You got a Sunday night game, Arrowhead. We play Arrowhead every year, so that's always a big game. That's always a big game.
Yeah. ACJ, you want to try your mic out? Your screen's a little fuzzy, but we'll see how your audio's coming through. Yeah, still fuzzy. Sorry. You know what? If you want to try just doing a full reset, and I'll let you join back in here in a second. All right, so there's kind of the path for that. I guess moving into, we got a couple more topics. Next one, who do you think, as of right now, are the favorites for the AFC and the NFC? And we can start with the AFC first.
The way things are rolling right now, man, Denver Broncos are looking very promising.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the New England Patriots, but looking at the strength of schedule, I'd honestly say Denver Broncos.
Here's why I want to push back on that. I want to say yes. I like the Patriots. I think the Patriots have a better offense. Now, I think the Broncos have, you have the Texans have the best defense. I would say the Broncos have the second or third best defense.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is that the Broncos offense is really spotty. I don't know if there's any major health concerns over there, but it's, this last game, now granted it's the Chiefs, but they drive down, they get into the red zone, and they just can't convert. Ended up being, a 22-19 game, but it was just field goals for a while. It was 6-6. Field goals left and right. They scored, I believe it was just one touchdown and
Missed the field.
four.
Yeah, missed the
Yeah,
extra
still
point.
missed a field goal. So I want to say the Broncos, but I'm not ready to crown them just yet. Yeah, they have the best record, but they've also they've only blown 2 games. The way in which they are winning, I would put the Bills ahead of the Broncos. The Bills have a more consistent offense. They can just explode at any point. I don't get that kind of threat from the Broncos.
I'd say the one thing. Well, okay, I'll say this: if the Bills don't have to play the Chiefs in the playoffs,
Yeah, that's fair.
I'd take the Bills as the Super Bowl favorite.
And you know who is absolutely rooting that the Chiefs don't make the playoffs? It's Bills.
Oh, absolutely. Because I feel like if the Bills finally get their chance, I honestly think the Bills. I mean, we had this conversation, the whole Mahomes and Josh Allen, a couple weeks ago. But I honestly think it's just one of those things where a lot of things just happens to go in Patrick Mahomes' way for the Bills, So I'm thinking I could see a Bills versus Broncos AFC Championship.
Sure.
Definitely.
Here's, I think, the wild card. Yeah, no pun intended. Watch out for Baltimore. I think Baltimore's about to go on a run, and I think they're going to, depending on what Pittsburgh does, there's a real chance that Pittsburgh poops the bed and Baltimore takes over that division. Would not surprise me if people come back healthy. And that division, even Pittsburgh is like, they're good. They're not awesome. They're good. They have Aaron Rodgers. You have a puncher's chance. Are they just take over the game kind of team? Like, no, not really. They've lost some games that they probably should have won, and they've won some games they probably should have lost. Watch out for Baltimore. Baltimore gets hot at the right time because this is the time of year, I would say, the next couple weeks is, okay, cool. Are you getting hot? Are you staying the same, or are you kind of cooling off? You have a hot start and you're cooling off. Baltimore's an intriguing team. Do I still put them as favorites? No. I would still put Denver and the Bills ahead of them. The Colts are, I don't know. I got to see what the next few weeks look like for the Colts. How do they do against the Texans? How do they do against the Jaguars? All right. Who's your NFC picks?
Ooh. I mean, I'm still going to go with the Eagles. I feel like regardless of the fact that they're barely winning these games, they are still winning these games. However, the LA Rams are looking very promising. They're pushing, and I think they're going to stay very consistent with the pushing. I know, you probably don't want to hear the Rams, but
it's all good. Okay, so you got the Eagles. I have the Rams as the clear favorite. The Rams are the best team in the league, and the reason why I have the Rams as the best team in the league is because Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback in the NFL this season. Far and above, as much as I like Josh Allen, I like Matthew Stafford better because Matthew Stafford doesn't commit atrocious turnovers. He is throwing, where is it at? He's at over a 20 touchdown. He's like 25 touchdowns to 2 picks. He is playing flawless football. When that offense gets humming, they can put up 40 points on anybody. I don't care whose defense it is.
Yeah.
When your offense can put up 40 points on any given notice, any game against anybody, that to me that spells favorites in the NFC. That spells favorites to win the whole thing.
Well, I mean, the Buffalo Bills, if you look at the Buffalo Bills offense, they are very consistent with putting 30 plus. Yeah. Granted, Josh Allen, he's going to have those, right now he's, 18-7 touchdown interception.
Yeah.
But he's also, he's putting up 3 touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns. So they are very offensively stacked. Yeah. I will say that he's the only quarterback to have multiple 3 passing and 3 rushing touchdown games. Yeah. They lost 1 and then they won the other. So it's, it's very, their offense is very good. It's just a matter of can their defense hold.
Sure. And their defense, so right now their offense is tied for 4th. They're averaging 29.2 points per game. Their defense is 14th. So it's middle of the pack. And I wanted to look at the Rams because I know the Rams have a top offense. 2 seconds. All right. Well, the Rams have their sixth. They're the sixth best offense. Can you guess where their defense is at? And I didn't know this till I just looked. So we just talked about the Broncos defense being top 3.
Are they top 5? Number 2.
Rams have the second best offense in the league.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, they've been, because looking points scored, they were only trailing after, through 11 weeks, they were only trailing the Texans by like 3 points as far as points scored. I think the Texans were at 103, the Rams were at like 106.
Yep. So now the Texans are number 1 at 16.3. The Rams are at number 2 with 17.2. That is a recipe for a Super Bowl team. You have the best, they're probably the most explosive. They don't have the most points, but Matthew Stafford can throw it anywhere to anybody on the dime. They've got weapons all over the place. Kyron Williams, that man can just go off. Not only is he a running threat, he's a receiving threat.
Puka Nacua.
Nacua, pound for pound, probably one of the better. He's probably, I would put him in the top 10 wide receivers right now in the league.
Oh yeah, he's a dog for sure.
So I think they're the favorites in the NFC, and I like them more than the Eagles because of recency. They've been putting up more points. They will put up 30 or 40. Now, granted, they only put up 21 against the Seahawks, but that's one of an in-division game. Those games get kind of weird.
Yeah.
But still, they can just go off. The only thing that would derail is a major injury. That's the only thing that's going to derail them. I just don't see anybody in the NFC that can keep up with them. I say that, and the Seahawks, lose because they missed the field goal, and Sam Darnold had a 4-pick afternoon.
Yeah. And then
So
looking
go ahead.
their schedule coming up, they've got the Buccaneers, Panthers, Rams, Lions, Seahawks, Falcons, Cardinals.
Who's this?
The Rams.
Okay.
So, I'm seeing.
Let's see how many playoffs.
I'd say your
2.
Buccaneers and the Lions, maybe the Seahawks. That's a toss-up.
They still have to play. Yeah, so, three playoff teams they have to play. Outside of that,
Yeah, cakewalk. I don't want to say cakewalk, but fairly light schedule.
The Lions just placed Sam Laporta on IR, so he's out for 1, 2, 3. He might be back for the Rams game, and you're going to need to be at full strength to play the Rams.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts of the Lions?
Oh man. That whole division right now is a toss-up. If you're looking at it, the Chicago Bears are leading at 7-3. But if we're being honest, if you look at their 7 wins, you played the Bengals without Joe Burrow. You played the Commanders without Jaden Daniels. You played the Vikings where J.J. McCarthy threw 2 picks. Then, you just beat a bunch of, trash can teams. You beat the Saints. You beat the Raiders. You're not really beating anybody. And it's not to say that, the Bears are, they're putting up a fight. They're winning these games. It's not to say, they're not. Well, I'm not going to discredit the fact that they're, winning football games, but it's one of those things where it's like, when it all, when push comes to shove.
There's a thing like the NFL. It's like pedigree and resume. Like, hey, what have you done? Not just this season, but like I would say the past 2 seasons. Like, have you made the playoffs? And when you've made the playoffs, have you made deep pushes? I feel like for the most part, it's season by season, but you're like, the Chiefs. The Chiefs have the best pedigree in the league right now, based on the last, since 2019. Teams like the Bears, they have to earn it. They have to prove to people like, hey, we can not only win games, but we can win playoff games. Until you do so, it's hard for me to take a team like that serious. The other team, I think the Lions are starting to get that pedigree, but they have certain injuries. The amount of talent on that team, and for them to only put up 9 points in the points that they have put up, it's almost the inverse of the Eagles, where the Eagles keep winning, the Lions lose, and it's like you have all this talent and you can't move the ball. It's a little baffling.
because you're
Yeah,
looking.
hear me
You
now?
have David Montgomery, you got Jameer Gibbs, you got Jamison Williams,
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. Like you have a very stacked offense.
Mm.
So there's no reason why you should only be putting up 9 points.
Yeah.
Do I sound normal again?
Yeah, you're good.
Bro, the Lions, the thing about them is their receivers always drop these passes on fourth down. That happened against the Niners in the NFC Championship, and it seems like it happens often. Like they call the right play, but someone just can't hang on to the ball in order to secure the victory.
Yeah. Well, they have probably one of the best. I say one of the best two-headed monsters at running back between David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs.
Yeah.
If you're having like drop issues in crucial moments, run the ball.
It
Set
was 4th and 5.
screens.
I don't think they were gonna pick that up.
Set a
because we
screen for
saw
Jameer Gibbs, a running back.
I'm
Texas
not
too,
gonna
they
lie,
couldn't do it.
you can hand the ball off to Jameer Gibbs on a 4th and 5.
Bro,
I think he'll
whenever
get
it was
you
4th and 2, what was it, 4th and goal? No, it was 4th and 2. They didn't get it. They ran the ball 3 straight times and then tried to throw it and didn't do anything.
I mean, I can't help you at that point.
I think the problem with there though is I think coming out the gate, if you have a 4th and 1 and you're on the 1 yard line and you have Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, I'd say first play I'd go play action. Everybody's selling on the run. I'd go play action.
They didn't do it once. They ran it 3 straight times to the left and then tried to throw it.
I don't know.
I'd sell out. If I was an offensive coordinator, I'm selling out play action first play, just to get their minds into like we can run or we can throw.
Maybe you should go be an OC because it seems like you do a lot better job than a lot of these guys.
Yeah. Quick question for you. Who you got for the favorites for the AFC and who's your favorite for the NFC?
My favorite for the AFC is the Chiefs. I just refuse to believe that anybody is going to beat them when it matters. If they're the last seed in the NFL, who's going to beat them? The Broncos are not beating the Chiefs. The Patriots dang sure aren't beating the Chiefs. The Bills 50-50. The Colts ain't beating the Chiefs. I'm not putting my US currency on anybody to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Well, the bonus is we get to see that. We get to see. I mean, Denver has to play them twice, and they beat them. Denver beat them at home. Can they go to Kansas City and beat them? And they get to play the Colts. So we'll have those questions answered in the next couple weeks.
I mean, I say either the Rams or the Eagles because the Eagles almost to the Rams last year. Matthew Stafford, all these the Rams versus the I feel like
I'm sorry, you're super robot voice right now.
Can you hear me now or no?
Yeah, go for it.
I don't want to see the Rams do it, but I feel like they could do it.
Yeah, we were just discussing the Rams. I didn't know the Rams have the second best defense right behind the Texans. Yeah. And we know that offense can go off for 40 points against anybody.
Yeah.
The problem I have with the Eagles have all this talent, but they're having a hard time scoring. They put up 10 points against the Packers. They put up 16 points against the Lions. Yeah. They just like the chemistry feels off. The year that they won the Super Bowl, well, last year, and even the year prior, when they first got A.J. Brown, he was a true number one. He was the go-to guy, and his stats were it was a 100-yard game essentially every single game. He's really fallen out of favor, and it's really fascinating to watch, how this offense is operating without him. And I think that's a big reason why they're just not doing anything. Devontae Adams is good, but he's a speedy receiver, a small receiver. A.J. Brown is the possession guy. Hey, you need a first down, it's 3rd and 8, whatever, like throw it to A.J. Brown. And his lack of involvement, it's almost like he's not focused this year. Like there's some grievances against the team, the organization, or his mind is just kind of elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that's why I just
together. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
And I can't lie. I don't want to say it, but there's a lot of Jalen Hurts naysayers, and he's kind of proving them right. Because sometimes like he'll be a star and he'll look on it, and sometimes he'll just look confused, like he don't know what's going on.
Here's Jalen Hurts. I put Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy in the same bucket. And hear me out. The reason I put them in the same bucket is because when everything is perfect around them, they flourish. When they have all the weapons, when their offensive line is good, um, they flourish. When they're missing pieces and they have to kind of do it all themselves, that's when they find themselves, they get in trouble. And, one of the quotes, I think it was Nick Bosa, has said, when, if you make him play quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
he falls. Now, the big difference, and I think Jalen Hurts is better than Brock Purdy. Jalen Hurts shows up when the lights are brightest. The 2 Super Bowls that the Eagles have been in, hasn't disappointed. Rushing the ball, throwing TD passes, that man has shown up to the big games.
Yeah.
That's the biggest differential between him and Purdy. So I don't want people to go out there and say, "Oh, you think Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy are the same?" No, but I think they're the same in the sense when everything around them is good, they play well. When everything around them is not perfect, they come back to earth.
Jalen Hurts reminds me a lot of Eli Manning, where it's like you're gonna play normal to sloppy football, but then whenever it's like game time, you're gonna be dang near perfect
Yeah.
because he doesn't do the little things right like someone like Allen will do. Allen's the opposite. He'll do the little things right in the regular season. Come the big moments, he'll fail.
He does not. Josh Allen does not fail. Man, I don't want to get into that.
But that's how it seems to me. And also, Barkley is not running for 2,000 yards, so it falls a little bit more on Jalen this year. And
Yep. And look
that's
at
a big
look at
thing.
the offense. Like it's meh.
Yeah.
Like I said, that I feel like that kind of proves my point. When he has the people around him doing well, it's the same thing when in 2023 with the Niners, Christian McCaffrey was going off all over the place. You had Brandon Ayuk, Debo, and all these, and George Kittle. Everyone stayed healthy, and Purdy was in the MVP conversation. He didn't win the MVP, but he was in the conversation.
Yeah.
And I feel like Jalen Hurts is the same way.
I can't hold against people for it's a team sport. So
Yep.
you need to win.
Sorry, you're super robot voice right now. It's still robotic. That's all good. Real quick, we're gonna go to our last topic and wrap it up. Who you got winning the Super Bowl as of right now, Alex?
Give me the Buffalo Bills.
If the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, right?
I think Josh Allen's gonna get. I've been saying that Josh Allen's gonna get his chance, man. He's gonna get his chance.
All right.
And I feel like he has a good campaign to do it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I said he had his chance every year, and he doesn't show up against the Chiefs.
It's not. Nah, that's not true.
We're gonna save that topic for another show.
Yeah.
Who you got winning the Super Bowl? Hey, CJ.
The Chiefs. Until somebody shows me that they can beat them, I'm not going to put money on anybody else.
They lost, so they got beaten by the Eagles and they got beaten by the Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
They got to make the playoffs first. It'll be interesting.
The Eagles ain't going to beat them, but I would say realistically the Rams.
Yeah. That's going to be my pick. I got the Rams. The Rams, they have the recipe to win a Super Bowl. They have an explosive offense, and they have the second best defense, a top 5 defense.
They already did it too, so that's a big thing.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to give Stafford more respect if he wins the second one.
Absolutely, I think Stafford wins the second one, and book him for the Hall of Fame.
He's better than Eli.
I think it's simple as that.
I mean, not Eli, Breeze. Okay,
sounds like another conversation for another show.
He's above Breeze and Rodgers if he wins the second one.
Okay, I can see Rodgers. I think Rodgers is a great talent, but I don't think he is a great teammate. But that's another conversation for another time. Gentlemen, it's been a blast. Like I said, this is the In Between podcast. Subscribe, hit that like button, and can't wait to put up more content. Y'all have a good one.